has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast. All right, good to have everybody with us on a Tuesday, coast to coast, along with Carver High and Ferrall. We're in New York City. All right, where are we going here?
Let's get into some college football. We do have a couple of games tonight, and we, of course, have the newest college football playoff rankings coming out tonight as well. But why don't we start with our MACtion for Tuesday, and we do have ourselves some MAC games to look at, 3 actually, here on a Tuesday night to start us off. Ball State heading up north from us, of course, into Buffalo to take on the Bulls. Bulls minus 3.5 with a 55.5. We're checking in with that right now. We've got Western Michigan visiting Bowling Green. Central Michigan visiting Toledo with the Rockets minus 14.5.
Yeah, I like, in particular, the Buffalo Bulls game and spread. I'll lay it against Ball State in Buffalo. And I like that over that Morency was talking about at Western Michigan and Bowling Green. You know, I think that game's going to be really good, right? Like, that's too big a spread for me. And then at the Glass Bowl, same thing here. I think the points are too many. All these games every Tuesday, Wednesday night have been close. I'm feeling like they won't cover the 14 and a hook at the Glass Bowl.
It's a very big number, really big number for these MACtion games, for that Toledo game specifically. All those games, by the way, 7 o'clock East kick. All of them at the same time. Where's the staggered starts? I mean, where's the 7, 7:30, and 8 o'clock? Like all they used to do on MACtion. I mean, it make me flip around all these games. Give me a break. More importantly, this week's college football playoff rankings will be revealed later tonight. As I said to you earlier, it is not, last week it was at 7 o'clock East. It is not this week. It is around 8:30 East, in between the huge college basketball doubleheader that's on ESPN. So after the Kansas-Michigan State game, before Duke and Kentucky, that's when you'll get their whole college crew giving you the Crack Crab and Lobster Committee's rankings for this week. Of course, we do expect several changes, especially after Miami lost, Georgia lost, etc. You'll probably see some different things tonight. I give you this every week as well, the updated chances to make the college football playoff. And would you believe that Indiana has the second highest percentage on that chart at 92.8%? To make it. Oregon 95, Ohio State 92, Texas 81. Miami has been bumped down to, they still have a 61.2% chance to make the college football playoff.
First of all, look, there's no one in their right mind that actually really believes Indiana's going to go to Columbus and beat Ohio State. Yet they have them with a higher chance to make the playoff than Ohio State. So that's all you need to know right there, that you're going to get tripped up. The key is to go there, and I think you said it yesterday, don't get smacked by 50. Be in the game. Lose the game. If you're going to lose it by 7 to 10 points. I think they'd still have respect then. Anything to me over 10, it starts getting ugly. And you'll watch them drop like a fly with a swatter on the window if they lose that game big. They'll drop right out of the scene.
Look, I think that the 92% thing that they have there is based off of, obviously, even if they lose that game and they're 11-1, these other teams are, especially the SEC ones, they're eating each other. You're going to have teams getting to 3 losses here, and they're going to put the 1-loss Big Ten team in over those 4th and 5th SEC teams. The 5th SEC team that's got 3 losses. They're going to do that. So
listen, I'm thinking
just can't lose by 50.
You can tell Luke right now is ruminating. He's got it all going on in his brain right now. That I think starting tomorrow we're going to need a graphic with a giant lobster and a big pile of king crab legs, like from when we do the crack crab lobster committee. When the poll comes out, we have to have I think on our poll, pictures of giant lobsters and crab legs, king crab legs, instead of anything else. We need to have that on our, playoff.
I will.
Night moving forward. So Wednesday tomorrow, going to get some kind of shot.
Yeah, I will talk to Nick about that tomorrow morning, and I will make sure that we can get Nick to do that.
It's a great name for them. The Crack, Crab, and Lobster Committee, they got to have their own.
Yeah, they go there.
Spot on the show.
They get a lot of big meals on the arm for being in that committee.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of expensive steak and surf and turf, crack, crab, and lobster. They get it all. As they sit in that room and put those rankings together. So that's for sure. Georgia.
Rob for an appetizer.
Get a little bit of that in there, too.
Ravioli for an appetizer. Crab, crab, what do they call them? Oreganata, clams oreganata.
Yeah. Yes. Clams Casino. Get a little bacon in there. You get the Clams Casino.
Here on SportsGrid. Let's get that casino. Those are awesome, those kind. I love those.
Yeah. Of course, Georgia's going to take a tumble in tonight's rankings after losing to Ole Miss on Saturday. Now, did you see the clip of the kid on Georgia, Jake Pope, jumping around with what I guess allegedly was his friends from there that live? But the guy plays for Georgia. They just lost the game. Let's just say that finally came across Kirby Smart's desk yesterday at the press conference on Monday.
Kirby, there's a video on social media of Jake Pope seemingly celebrating with some Ole Miss fans on the field after the game. Just wanted to see if you had seen that and what your reaction to it was.
Yeah, what an idiot. Just stupid. I didn't see it till today, but he's embarrassed about it. He's upset about it. That's obviously a childhood friend of his. He grew up and played with there at Buford and knows him, hadn't seen him in forever, but just not real smart. But to be honest with you, I don't have time to waste energy on that. You know what I'm saying? Like my focus is on Tennessee. I'm not worried about that.
Yeah.
What about
my
focus
on
Tennessee.
Players that get arrested left and right. He doesn't talk about that, but he'll make fun of this kid for dancing with his buddies. Who cares? He got bigger problems with some of those drips that play at Georgia. He got criminals up and down that roster. Criminals.
It does make a great point. It makes Kirby look bad that he can call this kid an idiot.
But nobody else.
Meanwhile, all the kids that got into so much trouble with the driving and everything else, speeding, arrests, he didn't stand up there and call them idiots. He called this kid an idiot for jumping around with his friends, which I don't condone it. I don't think the kid should have done that. You just lost. Go in the locker room. Go say hi to your friends in the parking lot after the game.
But call him an idiot. He's an idiot.
Yeah,
you know what I would do if I were that kid? I'd transfer. Call me an idiot.
He probably will. I wouldn't be surprised if he does.
How's your ranking after taking it in the arse at Oxford? How's that going for you, Coach? We can all make fun of people around here, and we're better at it.
We are better at it. Georgia has Tennessee on the docket this week. The biggest game in college football this week, that's for sure. This is, of course, between the hedges, and it's at night. 7:30 kick. I got a flat 10 now. We see 9.5 earlier on the board. I got a flat 10 with a 48.5 total.
That's a giant number. Tennessee's good, but I still think Georgia's winning that football game come hell or high water. Look at the money line. So, I don't know about covering 10. I think they're, really tough, but they've been exposed this year. They have. They got their ass pushed around by that Ole Miss defense. I have never seen a Georgia football team since he's been there. I've never seen his team ever get pushed around like that. So if they can do it, Tennessee got a bunch of guys 300 pounds too. So let's get it on. Maybe they will cover the 9.5. Maybe that's the play.
I kind of like Tennessee with the number. Georgia probably wins the game, but I think it's a tough game. Tennessee's D is good. They got good D, Tennessee. together, both Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the two big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, it's going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid, Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, man, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
What did I miss? You pinching your own cheek? As I was looking down and did not know we were getting.
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma would do to you when you go see her on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
We still got some college football fallout.
We do still have some college football fallout. I figured I would give you a couple of the other bigger games that are coming up this Saturday. Give you some numbers early in the week for those, aside from that Tennessee-Georgia game, which we just talked about. ACC Clemson very much back in the mix now with Miami losing, of course, on Saturday. They are at the place the Steelers play this week. Clemson visits them. Now, let me ask you, so they got that game on Saturday. You got the Penguins-Shark game on Saturday night, and then the Steelers are playing there on Sunday. So that's a 12 noon Saturday kick at the place the Steelers play for Clemson and Pitt. You should have just made it a hat trick and went over there for the afternoon. So Pitt Clemson.
It is disappointing. However, I'll be I think flying during that kickoff. I leave at like 11 something, so yeah. I'll land in Pittsburgh. I think after like a half hour, 40 minutes after that game kicks off. I'll tell you what though, I think they're falling apart. Pitt, they lost 2 in a row. SMU, they got smoked. Then they got stuck in the eyeball by Virginia at home. It makes me wonder if they can cover that number because it's now or never for them. I mean, it's season over. They're going to get beat by Clemson. Season over. You lose 3 straight. Season over, right? So I think they're going to be in the game. I think they covered a 10.5, and Clemson wins the game barely.
I'm with you. I think that Pitt gives you a little effort this week. Clemson ends up winning, but Pitt gives you some effort. Now or never, indeed. Oregon, of course, 2 wins away from a perfect regular season, and the last road game they're going to play, and they haven't played many tough ones this year, will be in Madison against Wisconsin coming up here. They are 14.5-point favorites. This is a Saturday night game under the lights in Madtown, 52.5 total.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I think they handle their business at Camp Randall. I really do. I think Wisconsin, 9th in the conference, they're mailing it in at this point for Fickle.
And side note on Wisconsin as well, Jack Del Rio, who was member of the staff there as a consultant to Luke Fickell, he had to resign from that post. He was arrested over the weekend, operating while intoxicated. He, I guess, was out somewhere, drove his car through a stop sign, through someone's fence, and then just kind of left the car in the yard, and then I guess then they found him out in the street. Allegedly. All of this is always allegedly, but it can't be too allegedly if Jack resigned from his Wisconsin post after that happened.
I love how they changed the names of it. It's got all these fancy operating while intoxicated. It's still drunk driving where I'm from.
That's a state thing. So I guess in Wisconsin, that's the legal term. And, you get it state by state. You get a different.
Went through a fence, crashed the car into some lady's yard, and then rolled out of there and left the car running. I mean, this is just beautiful. Well, that's
I don't think he completely left the scene. I don't want to add any more charges allegedly to his rap sheet. But he kind of just got out of the car and kind of just went, I
think he walked back to campus and got fired.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened. Last one I'll give you.
You got to watch where you're going in Madtown. You don't know your way around. It can be a little sticky, those streets.
It can be. Late night in Provo for BYU, who, of course, is looking to go to 10-0. And they have Kansas coming in. Now, I don't think normally you'd say that Kansas is 3-6. We just watched Kansas destroy Iowa State last week at Arrowhead. And again, this is a short number. 2.5 for BYU late night under the lights with a big total, 55.5.
This game's in Provo. Good night, Irene. They're going to kill Kansas. Kansas had a big upset at Arrowhead. I get it. It was kind of their big game. And now they got to go play this undefeated monster in Provo. No one wins in Provo. They're not winning that game. Cougars easy money.
Easy money, Cougars, late night in Provo. All right, so there you go with some of the bigger games. Tomorrow I'll start giving you some racks for this week as we get ready. Obviously, several other games on the card. I give you the Heisman every week as well here. Let's take a look at this. As right now, as we hit mid-November, Travis Hunter plus $120 now the favorite. With Gabriel Genti and with Ward losing, he slips down to 8-1 for his Heisman chances after this week.
Yeah, I'm done with it. I'm done with this. I can't take it anymore, how crappy these odds have been from week to week. Obviously, the guy lost the game. His career's over. He should jump off a bridge, is what they're saying. The guy has put up numbers that every single guy that ever did it won the Heisman Trophy. Now, this guy's going to do it and not even sniff it. Because Deion Sanders knows how to sell Travis Hunter like he's a marketing agency. I mean, honestly, what is next for Deion? Is it the Cowboys? Is it Florida State? Is it take your choice, do whatever you want? How about he gets to draft both his son and Hunter and coach the Cowboys? He gets both of them.
There'll probably be a demand of his to take one of the jobs. You have to take both of these kids on your team. With Ward slipping down, it just goes to show you again what I say to you all the time, and it bothers me. This is not supposed to be a most valuable player award. That is not what the Heisman Trophy is. They've turned it into that. It is the most outstanding player in college football, not whose team goes undefeated and makes the college football playoff. That's not supposed to be,
I guess it would be
what it is. If you go just who's been the most outstanding, it probably is him. And he's crept up to 350 now. And I'm going to tell you, Hunter is awesome. Hunter is an awesome player. What he does on both sides of the ball is ridiculous. It really is. But to drop Ward that much because his team lost a 5-point game on the road. It's not like Ward threw 4 picks and threw for 50 yards and looked like Caleb Williams last week with the Bears.
Don't blame him for that loss. It was the defense.
Right. Defense couldn't stop. Georgia Tech ran the ball down their throat all day. I mean, what does that have to do with Cam Ward and his Heisman numbers? It really has nothing to do with him.
I don't even look at these sportsbook odds anymore because they make me so mad. Everything.
They do make you mad. They make you mad.
Sportsbook make me mad. I hate them all.
Together both Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the two big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, it's going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid, Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, man, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Fortunately, I missed you pinching your own cheek as I was looking down and did not know we were getting.
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. But that's what your grandma would do to you when he goes here on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Honestly, I couldn't believe the Bulls covered against the Cavs last night. They stink. and of course they covered. And the Cavs keep winning, but they don't cover.
The Cavs keep winning, but they did not cover last night, that's for sure. 119 to 113. They beat the Bulls in Chicago. A big night for Donovan Mitchell, though, Scotty. He had 36. He hit 7 threes. He was everywhere going off on FanDuel Sportsnet.
How far will the Cavs' unbeaten streak go? Will they hope to make it 12 here this evening in Chicago as Donovan Mitchell from the corner opens the fourth quarter, scoring with a triple. 29 points in the first half. He has the basketball. He's picked up by Ayo Dosunmu. He crossed him over and buries a three. Jerome with another steal. Jerome to the basket, dishes to Mitchell. He lays it up and lays it in.
God, they're just winning every night, and we already know how good Spida is.
They are the 8th team in NBA history to start the season 12-0, first since the Warriors back in 15-16. So nice start for the Cavs, but nobody remembers 5 years from now who started 12-0 in the regular season. They remember who wins the title. That's
Until
usually what gets remembered.
Like this. It was the last time, it was 2024 that a team started 12-0, but they didn't win.
And
the
when
title.
we do that story 5 years from now, we'll say, remember how the Cavs lost in the first round that year? We'll probably have.
It's like last year.
The story that we'll end up doing. Rockets beat the Wizards last night, 107-92. Nets beat the Pelicans, 107-105. You said you turned over to this because the football game was so awful. Well, hopefully you turned in time to see Cam Thomas finishing it off on the Yes Network.
Fernandez trying to call a timeout. Thomas fires. Nylon! Cam Thomas trades it to put the Nets in front by 1. That's a no. Yes.
Yeah, it was a great
Birdman.
They play hard for Fernandez. They're tougher than anybody thinks they are. I'll tell you that much. I mean, they are decent. They're fun to watch. I watched them last night. It was way better than that Monday night game. And Ian's always great with Jock.
And I think they're playing the Celtics again tomorrow night, I believe, in Brooklyn this time. So they gave the Celtics a hard time last week. We shall see. Thunder beat the Clippers 134-128. SGA with a career high 45 points in this game. In fact, he hit this three. Game was tied late in the fourth quarter, and SGA getting it done. Also, FanDuel Sportsnet.
Point OKC lead. Shea, the step-back shot. He's got 42.
I mean, he's just a badass. Flat out. We've already seen this movie. I mean, this guy does this every night. I mean, I wanted him as MVP last year. Are they going to screw him again this year? The guy does this every night.
Well, I'm going to give you some of these Joker numbers in a little bit. So I don't know. Those Joker numbers are pretty insane.
They are.
So I think he's going to have some competition with Joker when it all gets said and done. But SGA absolutely been outstanding so far. And finally, Spurs beat the Kings 116-96. We've been waiting for Victor Wembanyama to finally get it going this season. I would say last night, 34 points, 14 rebounds. I think he had 4 or 5 blocks that he threw in with it as well. I'd say that he's finally getting things going on FanDuel Sportsnet.
How about the step back? CP3, guarded by Herter. Castle, left wide open. Can't hit the three. Wemby, another offensive rebound, and he punishes the Kings. Wow. Fox driving. Wemby swats it. Paul gives it back to him. Wembanyama the pass. Mamu Kelashvili for three.
I've never seen the Kings get spanked like that in a while. Not with that team, with Monk, and obviously Monk, I think, has an ankle. He's out a couple weeks, but with Fox and Sabonis, they're the real deal. Barnes, they mean business.
They certainly do, but they got it last night. Here's the Joker numbers. The last 9 games have been completely ridiculous for him, but the first player in NBA history to have 297 points, 137 boards, and 117 dimes after 10 games. That's just averaging the triple-double, just going absolutely off. He is a freak, and the half the team's been injured already. He's just dragging him by himself during this whole entire stretch, and he doesn't slow down. It really is amazing.
I don't even think
he really can.
It. I don't think he really likes it that much. I think he just does it because he's good at it.
Together, both Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the 2 big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, it's going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid, Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, man, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Quarterly, I missed you pinching your own cheek as I was looking down and did not know we were getting.
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. But that's what your grandma would do to you when he goes here on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
still NBA skinny that we're going through here. I see your boy Dame Time is having issues.
Yeah, it feels like we now have to do like a daily NBA injury segment. Yesterday was obviously more of high caliber stars, but we still got a few of those today as well. Dame Time, concussion protocol for Milwaukee. So it sounds like he's going to be out for a little bit. Not a good news for them. They suck as it is, Milwaukee, and then they're not going to have Dame Time in the mix either. That does not help the situation. The Pelicans now have, I think, 8 guys on the shelf as Jose Alvarado gets a hamstring injury and he's going to miss 6 weeks. The whole team's gone in New Orleans.
He got last night.
How could there's nobody left? I mean, they basically got hacks playing every night now. Malik Monk of the Kings, you mentioned, at least 2 weeks with an ankle sprain. He's not going to be playing for Sacramento. So more and more injuries throughout the association. As we head into our first night of the NBA Cup, which is what they're calling it. This is a lot easier than last year, the in-season tournament, which is what this really is. This year they're calling it the NBA Cup. Of course, the Lakers won it last year in Vegas, and tonight starts that journey over the next few weeks to see who wins it this year. Here are the odds to win the whole thing before we get into anything tonight. And, of course, it's the Celtics. It really is just like almost a carbon copy of the odds to win the title, with a few exceptions. With the Cavs being so hot, that obviously should factor in here when this thing's being played. They are 10-1 to win the whole thing. And the Lakers are up there as well at 16-1 to win the whole thing, too.
Well, why wouldn't I take the Cavs at 10-1 right now when they're kicking everyone's ass? I think it comes down to Cavs, Celtics in the Eastern block of this thing, and in the West, it's going to be either the Thunder, Nuggets, and Mavs. Those are the 3 best teams. I'd say the Kings are in the mix too.
The Kings probably are in the mix as well. Now, the one thing I'll say about the Cavs and the Celtics are in the same pod. They're in the same group.
So I'll take the Cavs.
So that means they'll be playing over the next week or two here in that pod. I mean, they both can get out. Obviously, there's one second-place team that does advance, but that's one to look out for, that's for sure. Here's the key dates for this NBA Cup that we're going to have over the next few weeks. So, obviously, tonight starts every Tuesday and Friday is when they are going to play between now and December 3rd. And then the 10th and the 11th of December is the quarters. December 14th, the semis in Vegas. December 17th, the championship in Vegas at the T-Mobile, just like last year. Gotta have it.
I think it's cool. Like, why does everybody have to get so bent out of shape about this? Like, it's like, these are like tournaments. They're like playoffs. They're like fun. They're playing for money. Like, I don't have a problem with it. If you have a problem with it, have a sandwich.
You know that I despise regular season NBA games. I just don't know what I'm getting on a nightly basis. I did, believe it or not, enjoy these a little bit last year. I did get into it a little bit on these Tuesdays and Fridays when they played. It felt like there was a little bit more at stake with the players. And I will be involved here on Tuesdays and Fridays with this in-season NBA Cup that they're going to have. So let's get it locked and loaded for tonight and start in Boston, where the Hawks and the Celtics will get together. Tatum is playing, by the way. I know there was some question about that earlier in the day, but he will be out there, and that has ballooned the lineup to 16 for the Celtics tonight with a 225 total.
Well, I'll take the points.
It's a big number, man.
I've seen them struggle in almost every game they've played lately. Yeah. I'll take the 16.
It's a big one, that's for sure. Next, we'll go to Detroit. Miami in to take on the Pistons. Miami 1.5 point favorites on the road, as the Pistons have been all right. Playing okay. They're covering numbers too. They're 6-4-1 against the spread. 214.5 is the total.
I'm on Miami.
Yeah, with them on the road, we got to see the Pistons do it a little bit more before we can actually believe.
He's doing everything. He's hitting well over 40% of his threes. He's hitting from the floor, over 50% from the floor. He's got a high scoring average, rebounds, dimes. He's doing it all. He's healthy. I like this team. Jaquez, Jimmy Buckets, Bam Adebayo, please. They're better than the Pistons.
The Hornets will be in Orlando against the Magic tonight for their first game in this. Magic minus 8.5, 213 flat the total.
I'll take the points with LaMelo Ball. Anytime he's on the floor, give me the points.
I'm with you. That's a lot of points, and the Hornets are going to have the best player on the floor, as far as I'm concerned. So I'll take the points with you in that game. The Knicks are in for Philadelphia against the Sixers. Sixers, as we know, out to the 2-7 start, but they are going to get Joel Embiid back in the mix tonight for the first time this season. Knicks are 3.5-point favorites on the road, 212.5 the total.
I don't believe that he's playing 25 minutes tonight. I really don't. The guy he's wearing like a knee brace the size of the Empire State Building on his leg. I'll take the Knicks.
I'm with you. What? Even if he's out there, you remember last year in the playoffs after missing all that time and he was walking down the court and you barely could breathe across half court.
Tonight he hasn't played a game.
It's going to be the same stuff. I feel like he hasn't played a real game in 6+ months. Forget that Olympic stuff. He barely did anything out there. Right. I like the Knicks with you tonight. The Raptors are in Milwaukee against the Bucks. Bucks minus 8.5, 225 flat the total. Man,
I like the points there as well with the Raptors. They cover a lot, and the Bucks stink.
That's a lot of points for the Bucks. I know they're at home, but that's very, very pricey.
I don't care where they are.
The Suns are in Utah against the Jazz. Suns, of course, no Durant. They're 5.5-point favorites here. 227 flat the total.
I still think with Booker, Beal, and the rest of that team that they got, they're going to win that game and cover.
Of course, everyone's also excited about Klay Thompson being back in the Bay Area. He'll be at the Chase tonight for Dallas. Warriors minus 2.5. They've been playing great ball. 234.5 the total.
I'm on the Dubs here, and I'll be going back and forth with that college game and this game at some point. That's at 10, so that's going to work out perfectly. I'm on the Dubs here at the Chase and Curry.
Do you want to dabble with that 15.5 for Klay tonight with him being back there? I mean,
I like the under.
You like the under? He'll shut him because he's like last year. He hasn't been hitting shots. He's not draining threes. He's not putting up any points. Maybe he comes alive tonight there in Golden State. And finally, Minnesota is in Portland against the Blazers. T-Wolves minus 9 on the road, 221.5 the total.
I got to be honest. I think they've been going through the motions after their big season last year, but I still think they're 10 points better than the Blazers.
Yeah, I think they're 10 points better than the Blazers as well. The Blazers stink. They're 5-5-1 against the spread, so they've covered some numbers, but Minnesota should be able to take care of business tonight in that. All right, night one NBA Cup. There you go with all the games. Should be a good watch. We'll come back. I got a lot more to do, including these 2 huge college basketball games in Atlanta tonight, the big doubleheader. We've got some hockey tonight as well, couple racks of that. I got a bunch of baseball things that we have to do too. Big finish we have ahead.
Nova and St. Joe's are tied at 21s right now in Philly with about 7 minutes left in the first half. Of course, Nova had that loss to Columbia. We'll see if they can handle St. Joe's.
Both Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the 2 big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, it's going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid, Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, man, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Quarterly, I missed you pinching your own cheek. As I was looking down and did not know we were getting...
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma would do to you when you goes here on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Rack tonight. I already gave you that Nova St. Joe's game going on right now. There's good games all night.
There is good games all night, but of course none bigger than we will have in Atlanta. Very big doubleheader, the State Farm Champions Classic. First game actually tips in about 45 minutes, 6:30 East, which will have number one Kansas taking on Michigan State. 5.5. It was 6.5. I've seen a couple places down to 5.5 now for the Jayhawks with the 150.5 total. The nightcap, you get to see Cooper Flagg and Duke, who are 5.5-point favorites over Kentucky in the second game.
Yeah, look, I'm on Kansas and Duke here. I'm not betting against that Cooper Flagg very often this year. I still think that he's so good that they can make the Final Four and perhaps play for a national championship.
Very possible. I already have my Duke tickets in order for this year, for the national championship, which I never do. I never like rooting for Duke, but I believe in this kid too much. He's going to – I know one thing. I'll probably be sitting around Final Four weekend holding it, and they'll be there. Whether they win or not, I got a feeling that Cooper Flagg is going to have Duke in the Final Four to go. All right, here's some other games that we have tonight. As you mentioned, there are several others. FAU and UCF down in Florida. North Florida against Georgia tonight. Sam Houston State visits Baylor. South Alabama goes to Ole Miss. Little Portland, Oregon, late night as well, among the offerings for this evening.
Well, the one that stands out to me, Mike, to be honest with you, is North Florida. They're pretty good, and they're getting 15.5 in Athens against Georgia. Now, Georgia also 2-0, but this North Florida team's already 3-0. That's a lot of points to give to a team, a veteran team that knows how to play. I'll take a shot with North Florida there. I think Baylor handles their business. I'm starting to get a little sketchy. I think Ole Miss can handle South Bama, and the Oregon game is an enormous number. I don't think they'll cover that. And I'm willing to take a stab with FAU on the road in Orlando against UCF. See if they're any good without Dusty around.
See if they are for that. Of course, a new regime at FAU after everybody has now skipped town. All right, how about hockey?
Everybody loves hockey.
Now for this evening. Everybody does love hockey, although there's only one thing I wanted to mention from last night. And I actually saw some people say that the Penguins should have cleaned house last night after they gave up 6 goals in the first period to the Dallas Stars. They lost 7-1 at home at the PPG. Not the way you want to be Luke giving up 6 goals in the first period. That's a tough scene.
Going to fire a coach that won 2 Stanley Cups? Are they going to, what has he got? The second highest tenure in the league. Second of all, they gave all those contracts to those old washed up players, and now nobody else has any money to have any talent around them. So the bottom line is they have 3 old stars, and it's like a farewell tour watching them play. They got Malkin and Crosby on the top line. They should just leave them there because there's no other reason to watch the Penguins. First of all, I told you, last night I said lay the goal and a half. They're going to get their ass beat. Second of all, I paid $400 to go watch this team Saturday night against the Sharks upcoming, and they're not worth $150. They're a terrible hockey team. They should not be charging $200 a seat to watch them play. They suck. Like, let's get real here. Those tickets are an absolute ripoff for the product. You're watching they're a hack team.
They are a hack team so far, that's for sure.
The Islanders, they suck. They were up 3-1. They still lost. That's how bad they suck.
Both teams stink. Tonight, Ottawa in Toronto against the Leafs. The Winnipeg Jets, who, of course, out to a ridiculous start. They are at the Garden against the Rangers tonight. You have got the Devils in Florida against the Panthers, Bruins, and Blues in St. Louis.
Can I get some onions here? Give me Ottawa in Toronto. Give me Ferrall-Peg at the Garden. I think Florida wins at home against the Devils. I saw what the Sharks did to them the other night. 1-0. Your boy Blackwood shut him out. I'm going to take Boston on the road in St. Louis. I think, what the hell? I'll take the Islanders in Edmonton. I think the Oilers stink, too. I like Vancouver at home, and I like Seattle at home.
There you are. The other 3 games tonight. Islanders are in Edmonton, Calgary, Vancouver, and Columbus, Seattle for us. A late night in the Pacific Northwest. The hockey.
Everybody
for
loves
the
hockey.
Islanders are going to get smashed in Edmonton tonight. This is the start of like a week and a half trip.
I mean, they're not that bad. The Oilers
Islanders stink.
What are the Oilers any better than them?
Long trip for the Isles, Edmonton, Calgary, Seattle, Vancouver. They're hitting all these teams over the next week and a half.
First of a long, tiring trip. It's the first one. They might have the best shot tonight.
I wouldn't want to go with that. I can't play the Islanders.
So lay that 235 the other way. See how that goes for you.
Puck line it. I lay the puck line with Edmonton tonight against the Islanders. Lay the goal and a half.
Goal and a half, then screw it. At least I believe in your team, you sissy.
I don't believe in mine. That's for sure. All right. Several things with baseball. I'll probably have to finish them when we come back with the leftovers. First of all, did you see it would cost the city of Tampa $56 million to have the Trop ready, not for this year, for 2026. They're not going to be playing there this year. They are expected to play it either.
They got to fix it.
Well, remember, they're in the wheels are turning to start building this other stadium that they're going to build.
Well, then build a new stadium and tear it down.
I don't think they want to waste the $56 million to fix a place that might only be around for another year or two after that. So I don't know what's going to happen. It's always the Rays that this stuff happens to. But I thought these would be the
Tampa home.
Steinbrenner Field in Tampa or in Clearwater where the Phillies play, which I love that place.
I've been to both. That place is worse.
I love that place because it's a great place where you can go out in the outfield, lay in the grass, and get drunk. But that's not a place for a Major League Baseball game, like a legitimate Major League Baseball game where you want it. But it's a fun little place.
Can you
but I can't believe
playing
they're thinking of having games
of Tampa or Clearwater all summer long? Do you realize 100% humidity? It's Vietnam, it's Thailand. It's
not fun. Not fun. Together, both Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the 2 big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid, Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, man, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Quarterly, I missed you pinching your own cheek. As I was
that's what your
looking down
grandma
and did
does,
not know
right?
we were getting.
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma would do to you when you was here on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Everybody loves leftovers.
People do love leftovers, and we do have several things that we have to accomplish here in leftovers today. We'll do a lot of baseball. First of all, we know that Juan Soto and Scott Boras are going to start all their meetings. The Mets and the Yankees heading out to California. Well, Toronto and Boston are actually going to have the first meetings with Soto and Boras. They are first on the agenda. Yeah, I don't look. Now, look, I've said the highest dollar he'll go to, if Toronto could be the team with the highest dollar, I don't believe Boston will be because they just don't spend money like they used to. It'll probably be the Mets, as we know, Mets or Dodgers, which is going to be very unfortunate for everybody. They announced the finalists for all their awards because, again, baseball can't figure it out. They need to take 2 months to let everybody know who's won their regular season awards. They should have announced these finalists the first week of October when the playoffs started. And then they should have announced these awards last week when the season ended. But we'll wait a little longer. Judge Soto, Witt Jr., we know Judge is going to win. Ohtani, Lindor, Marte, we know Ohtani's going to win. The entire AL Central's nominated for the AL Manager of the Year. Who cares? Mendoza should win the NL Manager of the Year. Murphy and Schilt also got the finalists. Skubal's going to win the Cy Young. It's funny. Paul Skeens is a finalist for the NL Cy Young along with Sale and Wheeler. And he's also a finalist for the NL Rookie of the Year with Merrill and Chirino. I mean, people say he's not going to win the Rookie of the Year. He's a finalist for the Cy Young. How is he not going to win the Rookie of the Year? The finalist for the Cy Young. But he's not going to win Rookie of the Year. It makes you scratch your head sometimes when you think about all this. Two Yankees.
I will bet you that half of the people right now that are baseball fans, believe it or not, have already forgotten what the kid's name is in San Diego that had such a great year. But no one's forgotten Paul Skeens. He was doing game day college football picks on Saturday in Baton Rouge with his hot girlfriend. No one talks about the kid in San Diego, and half the people have forgotten his name. But to talk about Skeens not winning Rookie of the Year is insanity. It's insanity.
It's insanity. And thank God it's only less than a week. We can finally find out. The suspense will be over and I can go cash my ticket. And two Yankees for the Rookie of the Year on the AL side, by the way. Louis Hill and Austin Wells. Although many say it will be Colton Cowser from the Orioles who ends up winning that AL Rookie of the Year. So you have all your awards. Everybody is very excited. All right. There is actually a big UFC fight this Saturday. I know that we joke about this stuff all the time, because they have cards every day of the week. But whenever they go to MSG, they usually up it a little bit. And that's why John Jones and Stipe Miocic, which was supposed to happen like 6 years ago, and it probably would have been. Have they fought yet, Moff? Moff can whisper in the ear. Is this the first time they're fighting or the second time these guys are fighting?
First time.
First time. They were supposed to fight years ago, and someone got hurt or whatever happened or got arrested. Who knows? Good card for the UFC at the Garden on Saturday night, Scotty.
Look, this guy, John Jones, is so dangerous. I love Stipe. He's been on the show before, but he hasn't, in my view, fought in a while, and he's been doing his fireman stuff and everything else. He's walking in against this guy. This guy's a monster. This guy, maybe the most dangerous MMA fighter of all time. He is filthy dangerous. And if I were betting right now, I'd bet on Jones. I like Stipe. I want him to win. But that guy is a different beast altogether, honestly.
He really is. And my final thing for you in Leftovers is Barbara Krejcikova, women's tennis player, criticized the unprofessional commentary that a tennis journalist, somebody on the Tennis Channel, made about, there you go, you know who he is, made about her forehead. He said something about her forehead, and she did not like that comment at all that he made about it.
She went off on this guy about his unprofessionalism, and they have suspended him. He's been pulled off of the Tennis Channel. Do people actually watch that? I mean, honestly, is there such a place? I mean, I think I've seen it before on my TV, but I've never actually watched it. Former Notre Dame coach Jerry Faust passes away at 89, and Carver High did not shed a tear. Former Rams, USC, and UNLV coach John Robinson passes away at 89. Now, he was a great coach. A woman found murdered inside a guest room at a luxurious Hamptons resort. Did you see that one? They found this woman in this high-end five-star place murdered. Machete-wielding wacko douses a neighbor's home in gasoline, but was caught on camera doing it like he's out there with a machete and dousing the house with fire. What is wrong with people? GTB is next. Go to FerrallOnTheBench.com. Enjoy the games tonight. We'll see you tomorrow at 3 on Coast to Coast.
Together, both Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the two big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, it's going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid, Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Are they definitely done with Daniel Jones from this point? And any shot that Dable is off the sidelines, meaning he gets fired before next season?
They have a general manager in Joe Shane. Every big move has to get approval by ownership. So look, the bottom line is they don't know who their future quarterback is past this season. Tommy DeVito's clearly not the answer. They don't have it. Drew Lock's not the answer.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, man, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Totally, I missed you pinching your own cheek as I was looking down and did not know we were getting.
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma would do to you when you go see her on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.